My father came to New York because that's where he met my mother. He's a barber transitioning into cosmetology because there was more money as a hairdresser.
Any kind of slight or insult would he'd go off. Her mother was pretty bad too. She was pretty handy with the old hairbrush and the shower brush. I mean, she had these long nails that would never break. She'd go, come here.
My mother was a cigarette girl at Billy Rose's Diamond Horse Show. My father told me that she just was afraid to have a kid, even though she was 9 months pregnant, kept riding around on the bus, and she'd go into labor. Somebody smart enough to get her off the bus, they carry her into a charity ward. And that's where I was brought into the world via this accident, which kind of paralyzed all the nerves on the side of my mouth, so I was born with this snarl.
Be up in bed and you just hear them screaming and I was petrified. We came from broken marriage. I mean, I came home from school and no one was home.
Majority of the time I was living in a boarding house. Basically 12 months a year, never went home because they just didn't have time.
My brother, he was a problem guy. He was truant, he'd get in fights, he wasn't a good student, and he got thrown out of all schools.
I went to 13 schools in 12 years. Like people have said to me, words don't mean anything unless they're true. That's not true. Words hurt. Words are the same as a thorn on a rose. They look nice, but boy, some of them can really hurt.
I think movies for me and him were total, absolute escapism.
The moment that Hercules Unchained, when he steps up and he pulls the temples down and this ridiculously handsome, well-built, perfect male role model. That did it. I was raised by a very physical father. So I was no stranger to serious pain. And I think it just became, I'm not going to break. No matter what he did. I'm just not going to break. Feel that nurturing and compassion and love and protection at a very early age, meaning when you're an infant, is more of a priority than food. And when you don't get that when you're young, you crave it your whole life.
And then he went to college. That's when he got serious about the acting stuff.
There was an opportunity to audition. I don't know why, but I did for Death of a Salesman. And I got it. There was a Harvard professor in the audience who came up and said, you should think of this as a career. I go, come on. He goes, yeah, you should really study this. You have something. And that moment changed the course of my life. And I landed in New York. I've hustled on the street. I've slept in doorways and bus stops and train stations and libraries.
Managed poverty very well. You've got this down to a science. You really don't need much to live on. I had sort of figured it out.
I tried out. They say, you slur, your eyes droop, you're this, you're that.
Maybe what I can do is write all my frustrations and make screenplays.
The rejection, that's my encouragement. It's a challenge. I was told 1,000 times. Well, not 1,000, but a few hundred. You're not cut out for this. You slur, you're this, you're that. We can't fit you into any kind of category. You should really quit. Are you going to accept their evaluation of you, or are you going to evaluate yourself?
Sly always wanted to be an actor, but he always had to write. I first met Sly on The Lords of Flatbush.
Lords of Flatbush was really like the first time that we got a sense of Sylvester Stallone's voice.
He took me to his walk-up apartment off of Lexington Avenue with his gigantic dog, and he painted the windows black so he could write.
At that point, I knew forever my fate was determined on the pen. One thing led to another. He gave me $1,300, just enough to get a $40 car and drive 11 days to Hollywood. My car breaks down on Hollywood and Vine, just boom, stop. And the first phone call I made was to Henry. Just point me in the direction of this motel. And I had it up there for like 3 nights. And then I found some dump way in the valley, 1 street away from Balboa Boulevard. I was there for actually an acting audition. And things were going not too well. On the way out, the door was just about closing. I leaned back in the door. I go, oh, by the way, I write a little bit. And he goes, really? Come back in.
Originally, when I brought the script to them, they were fairly enthusiastic about it. The one thing they were not enthusiastic about was me playing the part, and I really can't blame them at the time.
So I go back. Start writing that. Girlfriend, nice. He's just a guy. There's really no story. He's just a guy, like, on the fringe, a bum. He's a bum. And now I harken back to On the Waterfront. He's Terrence Malloy. Bang, Marty, movie, Mean Streets. Mix it up. And then throw your spin on it. And then it all came together. Once it became a fighter, what Talia did is elevated it from a boxing film to a love story, and her boyfriend happened to be a boxer. He finally had something to fight for. It wasn't money. It was pride. I want you to be proud. I want you to say, that's my man.
Fairly presumptuous of you, wasn't it, to expect to be able to star in it, because your career up to then had been small parts, right?
Yeah, that's kind of you to even say small. But I felt that, geez, if I was going to go down, at least into professional obscurity, I wanted to at least have the opportunity to say to myself, well, you tried. If nothing else, I had a good home movie. My parents would enjoy it.
Oh my God. This is the theater where Rocky premiered. Same theater I ushered at. The first review we got out of New York by Vincent Cameron was scathing. So I didn't know what to expect. We screened Rocky 5 days before the release. It was an afternoon matinee.
I was sitting there with him, and all of a sudden he's sitting there, oh, shit.
20 minutes into it, the audience, 3/4 were gone. And the theater heads are going, and I'm getting lower in the seat. I'm going, oh shit.
Talk about crestfallen look. He said, oh, God. Yeah, I thought, man, it's going to be a bomb.
So, when it did open, my confidence was not soaring. But if this didn't go, there was no second chance. When he knocks Apollo down, whole theater went up. And the producers all looking, it's like, holy shit. The audience is participating like it's a real sporting event. We blurred the lines.
You could hear the cheers from the inside, outside on the street from the theater.
The first time I ever heard anything about Rocky was a radio spot. Every once in a while, a new actor emerges, and he becomes one of the most talked about sensations in the film business. That was Marlon Brando. That was Al Pacino. That was Robert De Niro. And this year, the actor that everyone will be talking about is Sylvester Stallone. Who the fuck is Sylvester Stallone? Then I finally see a TV spot. Stanley from Lords of Flatbush is Sylvester Stallone?
The movie opens up #1. Everyone is talking about this movie has heart. It is emotional. It made me cry. It made me inspired.
To see that fairy tale story come to life, and it just turned the audience on.
Something happened, something magical.
It's the last picture of him being unknown.
There's never going to be another private moment again.
And here comes Rocky himself, Sylvester Stallone.
Literally a complete transformative moment in life, like forever. Like, wait.
And the winner is Rocky.
The star of Rocky, Sylvester Stallone.
Please welcome Sylvester Stallone.
You must fail 100 times to succeed once. That's part of it. No one succeeds the first time. It's learning how to not get disappointed with failure, to understand failure. You only learn when you fail. You don't learn when you succeed. Lucky I was a failure in New York, and that is the reason I started writing, which made me successful. Listen, you want to change things in a big way, and you need to make some big changes. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that.
What's your name?
Great! It's your time. Quite often, you just have to stand up and grab life by the throat and not let go until you succeed.